Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ok Xoomer. I'm your host, Aaron Lichtig, Xometry guy and former Jeopardy champion. And I'm excited to be here today with Eddie Saunders Jr. Now, I've seen some of Eddie's content on LinkedIn and was excited to reach out to him. He is officially the creative director at Flex Tools. He runs kind of an internal agency there called Flex Live and also produces a great show called Flex and Friends. That's what I first saw on LinkedIn. So Eddie, welcome. It's great to have you on the show.
No, I'm very, very thankful just to be here, just to have a good conversation, and obviously interact with you on a couple of different occasions. So it's nice to be able to have this segmented opportunity to talk about some cool things.
Awesome. So first of all, tell our audience about your day job and then also your work on Flex and Friends.
Man, such a crazy and loaded question. So the big thing, my day-to-day, I spend a lot of time in front of a camera, and then the times that I'm not in front of a camera, being able to produce and write and really scale out and have vision for the video content that we have. There's been a big shift and a big rise in popularity for specific video content. And with manufacturing being such an underserved level of attention, and with HD video just genuflecting to a lot of people across multiple mediums, it's really my responsibility to make sure that I'm hosting our specific demos. I'm also connecting with other individuals like yourself to be able to elevate their stories, because I'm a firm believer that, you know, a rising tide lifts all ships. And so aside from that, also overseeing all the brand collaboration opportunities, whether it's working with influencers or just other people, if you will, other additional thought leaders, and featuring them on the show, and also thinking about other creative synergistic activities that we can utilize, you know, throughout the industry.
How did you get into marketing in the manufacturing industry?
Awesome question. You are on a roll, man, and I expect the trend to continue. So actually, I spent 12 years in sales, specifically in marketing and advertising vehicles. I also have my degree in marketing, and that was always my passion. But I just so happened to have, you know, the personality and enthusiasm to sell these items. And so I started with Flex as the Western U.S. sales manager. So pretty much everything west of the Mississippi was my was my responsibility, if you will, like all the sales operations, working with vendors. But I've always been super, super passionate about marketing. And so I thought to myself, you know, being a former consultant for loads of companies, I thought, what could I do if I took my passion and my expertise and focus and dialed it in on one company? And then so after kind of sidebarring and providing a lot of external marketing advice to our team, they said, hey, we really like what you're doing. We love the video work that you're doing as well. We'd love to create a marketing position for you. And so that was, of course, my dream. So after, you know, 12 years in sales, which was a great foundation, I was able to take my sales acumen as well as my marketing abilities and being a professional MC on the side. I was able to marry all those skills and to really fire off at all cylinders to create a larger brand battery for Flex. So that's kind of the crazy indirect way that I ended up in Flex marketing.
And what excites you most about where you see marketing, specifically in the manufacturing industry, heading?
Well, I hate to say this to an extent, but manufacturing, when it comes to marketing, it's kind of boring. And there's a lot of people who just play it safe. And so I thought, man, if somebody comes in here and shines just a little bit of light, just a little bit of light, turns their volume up just a little bit more, it'll truly stand out in a positive way. And though sometimes it's not everybody's cup of tea, I also know that tea isn't everybody's cup of tea. And so what I'm the most excited about are people like myself and others who I've been able to connect with, who are just as much, if not more excited about elevating awareness within manufacturing. There's a huge skills gap right now. And I think it's because nobody's really shown anyone much of the excitement and all the cool things and the magnitude that's happening with our industry every single day. So I'm really excited about not only advancements in, you know, industry 4.0, automation, robotics, all the buzzwords. Those are great. But the people who are talking about manufacturing and the influential individuals who are, again, shining that light, turning it up to 11, they're doing a great thing for manufacturing. And I don't think a lot of people appreciate it enough just yet. But as they continue to build their following and their influence and connecting with the right people, it's going to really help, again, shine that light and turn the volume up to 11 on this actually really exciting industry that we're in.
People have started to come back to trade shows, which has been one of those points of connection for the industry for a long time, just over the past few months. And I know you've been to a couple recently. What have you seen that's the same as before, and what are some things that are really different there?
Well, big elephant in the room. Let's be honest with ourselves. There's not as much booth participation. Like, these aren't as large. You know, you will see pictures in all reality of people looking behind the curtains, if you will, and seeing the space. And I think they've made a pretty solid comeback. Now, you don't want to call it a full comeback. Like, you know, this isn't back in our 2019, 2018 days. But I actually just recently, even on my personal socials, posted a poll, and I think 80+% of the hundreds of voters thus far, as it's still running, feel that trade shows have made a comeback. And I would argue that it's re-energized individuals, because we're not just showing up to trade shows just to be out of the office for a week, just to go find the free, you know, beer table or whatever it may be. But there are people that are truly going there with the absolute intent and full bore potential and understanding and focus on connecting with others and having deeper conversations. And it's interesting to see the level of appreciation that's developed from just taking that away for a year, just taking it away and then bringing it back. Now, you're still seeing people on the trade show floors. Like I said, I've been to 3 within the last month, you know, FabTech being one, Hughes Techs, as well as Top Shops here in Cincinnati. So a good array of manufacturing. It's from larger shows to smaller focused. The people are there. Not as many as what were before. I think it's going to come back as people are more comfortable. You're going to see more participation with booths, people getting more creative, but people are definitely going back. People are definitely trying to be as creative as ever. And I would again argue that there's more energy and more focus and more intention for individuals there, because they know that it's such a valued thing, knowing that it was taken away 1 year ago and what it felt like to not have that. So have they made the comeback? Not yet. Are they making the comeback? Absolutely.
Yeah, and Xometry's in the same boat. We went to our first few trade shows. We were at Rapid and FabTech a couple month or so ago, and seeing similar things. But you know, also even in the world where people are getting back to going to in-person events, creating content online is still going to be very important. And I think the big steps forward, like with your show, with the show here that have come out during the COVID period, those are going to continue. So how did you kind of get into creating online content in this way? And what advice would you have for people who want to create interesting content, especially for manufacturing, where, like you said, there isn't a lot of really interesting content out there in the online space?
Sure. I mean, and it's just, we saw the opportunity, and we had seen that once trade shows were gone and the main medium for which, you know, we were able to communicate, solidify transactions, and really spend a lot of those marketing dollars, when it was gone, a lot of people, seriously, they sat on their hands and they said, what do we do? Like, we don't know what to do. So everybody's eyes were glued to their screens, waiting for someone to do something, waiting for someone to just show up with something. And so how we responded is we started a live demo series with our CNC machines. People love seeing chips being made. They love it even more if it's live. They love it even more if they can comment on it, pull it up. So we created that type of vehicle that not only showed live content when we knew people were watching the most, but it gave them something to interact with, which is very humanistic in today's kind of content structure. And so that's exactly what we did. We noticed that there was a gap, which is a big thing I'd recommend to anybody. Notice a gap within attention, or an underserved collection of eyes, if you will, and really being authentic. That was the biggest thing for us. And I'll go back to the idea where we may not be everybody's cup of tea, because we're loud, we're proud, we're profound, we're very passionate. But again, you know, tea isn't everybody's cup of tea. But what we've been able to do, and the results that we've seen, not only from a brand awareness standpoint, but from lead generation and also just general engagement, it's been nothing short of amazing. And then transitioning into Flex and Friends, that was just another example of that. Everybody and their sister is obviously, you know, thinking, oh, we're making all these podcasts. And to that point, that may be true, but I saw something recently that I think on Apple Podcast, I think it was 40+% of all series or podcasts, if you will, on iTunes or Apple, whatever it may be, their platform, only have 1 episode. So this gets to my second point. Just do it. Make like Nike, just do it. Just show up in the space, shine your light. Not everyone's going to resonate with it, and that's fine. But I will say there are so many fish in the sea when it comes to attention, and especially manufacturing, because it kind of needs those exciting people. And a lot of those individuals have emerged. I'm great friends with a long list of these people. And that's also what excites me, because there are these content creators that you wouldn't think would be surrounding and passionate about manufacturing. Like they could be modeling for other things. They could be doing this and that. They could be doing all these product collaborations, but they're choosing manufacturing and they genuinely love it. And I think that's where the audience is getting the most value, because for content creators out there looking in your space, whether it's manufacturing or like automotive, robotics, whatever, show up, be super authentic, be just unapologetically you, going back to being authentic, but then also listen. And then the last point to that, Aaron, on this is recognizing that social media, if you're trying to have an influence, that's two words, which is it's obvious, but it's like the idea of student athlete. What do they tell you all the time? Student athlete, student's the first word, and we always ignore that. Same thing with social media. Be social. Don't just say, this is me, this is me, this is me. Say, this is me, but who are you? How can we interact? And if you can promote engagement, that'll really accelerate not only your following, but it'll help really legitimize why you're doing it in the first place.
Yeah, I see you really out there a lot on LinkedIn and putting out content, interacting with your followers. And why did you choose that platform to emphasize? I mean, that's not necessarily one I would think of first for a manufacturing company.
Precisely. And that's almost exactly why I did it, because nobody would think of it. Everyone's too busy. I got to have all the followers on Instagram. I got to have everybody and their sister on Facebook. We really, I take the old Gary V approach in all reality. And instead of trying to be popular on everything, Eddie just tripled down. And so I tripled down on LinkedIn, and we already had success during the COVID major pandemic, the core, like the hard part of it, if you will, during that live video. And so as soon as we fought, and pulled teeth to try to get that LinkedIn live approval, as soon as we got that, I picked up the ball and ran with it. LinkedIn's there's lots of underserved attention. And though we're not always seeking attention, there's a lot of individuals who want something that's not just another article, want something that's not just another promotion, want something that's not just a company talking about themselves. And I thought, wow, this is all that everybody's doing. And it seemed like crazy. People thought before, like, well, why aren't you doubling down on these other social platforms? I said, hold on, sit down, let me chill for a minute. And I've been super blessed to not only see a return, like emotionally per se or socially on that investment per se, but I've been able to really connect with some incredible human beings. And Flex and Friends is honestly just a catalyst for not me to tell my story, but for me to help other individuals tell their story. And if LinkedIn Live serves as the platform and YouTube Live serves as the platform for that, there are a lot of strategic things that we can do while still scratching the emotional itch of those feel goods, right? And I feel if you're doing the right thing, connecting with the right people, good content will happen organically, and that engagement will happen organically.
Awesome. Well, I know you're from Cincinnati, and I lived there for 7 years as well. Are you more of a Gold Star Skyline person?
Man, it's always Skyline time. It's always Skyline time.
Yeah, I'm more there too.
I hear you. I can't knock either, man. Like good chili's good chili. Don't get me wrong, man. But I'm a sucker for good marketing, and I think the jingles, we are emotionally connected to music, and it's Skyline time. That little jingle, it does it for me.
They are really good marketers, and
100%.
I do miss Cincinnati chili quite a bit.
There you go. Well, it's always here when you come on back, homie. So, no, that's good stuff. Great question, by the way. You're killing it.
Sounds good. Well, you're killing it too. And we're coming up on time here, but Eddie, it was great to have you on the show. Everybody check out Eddie. Look for Eddie Saunders Jr. on LinkedIn. Check out Flex and Friends. Really good show. And just want to thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, I appreciate you and all that you're doing. Continue to shine your light, tell your story, be authentic, and just keep doing what you're doing. I love it. Appreciate you.
All right. Thanks. You too, Eddie. And thanks everyone for watching. Stay safe out there, stay healthy, and we'll be back in another few days with another episode of Ok Xoomer.